At this point, I feel so sorry for Benny. But from the look of things, Jonathan has a good plans for Benny. And he's also desperate to going back to who he used to be, the Big Joe. He's also willing to do anything possible for him to go back to being the Big Joe. But the unfortunate thing is that the friends that Jonathan decide to keep, the ones he trusts, are the ones leading him to more troubles. Because tell me how you will tie up your own daughter, all in the name of getting a document of a house that your ex-wife secure for your daughter's future. It goes ahead to show that you are indeed a selfish father. Even Cheta is surprised at your level of stupidity. The question is, will Jonathan ever become wise? Will he ever come out of this stupidity? Your daughter ran out of this house because of what you and your wife Cheta did to her. And you are still very comfortable in this house. Instead of you to be on the street looking for where your daughter is, you don't even care of what will happen to her out there. Jonathan is such a selfish father. I just wish that Clara took her daughter along to a place that she can have peace, because this girl is suffering in this house. I wonder how she's even feeding. I just hope that this document will be a photocopy, so that even if the maker decide to sell this house, because according to them, they want to use this house to enrich themselves, they won't be able to have a buyer, because this whole thing is just not nice. Cheta will be so shocked at the outcome of everything. She feels that she's already winning. She's celebrating because Debbie and Emeka are also giving her ginger, but she doesn't even know what is coming for her. You can't always eat your cake and have it. But Jonathan's stupidity is the reason why all of these things is happening to him. At least it's enough for Jonathan to learn. A lot has happened to Jonathan coming from Emeka, yet he still believes them over Kenneth. Even when Kenneth is trying to help, Jonathan sees Kenneth as a threat to him and his family. What kind of man is Jonathan? I wish Kenneth will eventually talk to Clara, so that Clara can come down here and pick up her daughter, because this whole thing is just too much. Jonathan will never learn. He will never learn. Since Jonathan is always feeling comfortable talking to Emeka about his private matters, he had to run to Emeka to tell Emeka what is happening in his house right now. Emeka asked him, what is going on? Did your daughter accept to give you the document to the house so that you can use it to get the loan you want? Remember, you need to go back to being the Big Joe, all right, so that people can see you for who you are. And Jonathan surprised Emeka by telling him that the daughter refused to give him the document to that house. But then, when he asked Jonathan, what did your wife Cheta said? Jonathan said, that woman is a lioness. In fact, I like her so much. According to her, she's going to force Benny. You are going to force Benny to bring that document. But the problem is, I cannot do this to my daughter. I feel like I'm betraying her. I'm going to hurt her. So Jonathan, you know that what you want to do to your daughter is wrong. Yet, you want to still continue with the plan. That is not nice. At least your daughter needs to have confidence in you. But as a father, you have made your daughter to lose trust in you, yet you are still doing more to her. And Emeka say, I support your wife. In fact, you are very lucky. At this point, I am jealous of you. You can imagine when evil people gather together, when they gang up against you, it will only take you being smart to be able to detect them, right? Cheta has really done a lot to Jonathan with these few days that she has actually spent with Jonathan. But Jonathan is blindfolded. He's blindfolded with so much, love and desperation to becoming the Big Joe. When he got back home, Cheta was telling Jonathan, listen, we are going to do all it takes to get that document from your daughter. If it means for us to tie her up, we are going to tie her up and get that document from her. In fact, let's go and do it. And Jonathan said, I just feel somehow doing this to my daughter. When you have that inner conscience telling you that what you want to do, what you're about to embark on is not nice, then you have to listen to your heart. But Cheta keep on pushing Jonathan. And Jonathan said, you know what? Let's go. I need to go back to be myself, the Big Joe, so that I can take care of everything. I need to show people out there who I am, And Jonathan took his wife Cheta to the daughter's room. This point alone got me emotional, because I never would have imagined that Jonathan would do such a thing to the daughter. How can you, Jonathan? When they got into the room and the daughter was, Dad, what are you doing in my room? Why did you bring your wife into my room? What is going on? The daughter said, we are here. The father said, we are here to get the document from you. So please, just go in there, get me that document. And you know that Benny is a very stubborn girl. She said, I am not giving that document to you, dad. I will never give you that document. And you know that at this point, Cheta is not ready to negotiate or take it easy on Benny at all, right? And then they went on, they held Benny. I feel so sorry for this little girl. I just wish that Clara was here. You people would have received it very hot from Clara, you know. And Jonathan shamelessly held the daughter and tied her up to the bed when Cheta went into the wardrobe and picked up the house document. How can Jonathan do this? Even when your daughter was crying and begging you to please stop, that house document belongs to her. This house is hers. That is the only thing that her mother secured for her. Don't take it away from me. Jonathan is so heartless. He didn't even care about the daughter's emotion. What he's only concerned about is getting that document, which eventually they got the document, and he still went ahead to tie the daughter Benny. That is what I don't understand. You got in the document, and Jonathan said, you know what, I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to make sure that this document gets to the destination before you move out, because I don't even trust that you will help me to get what I want. You know, when they got to the room, Cheta and Jonathan were very happy. They were celebrating that you're about to go back to your being your big Joe. The world is going to hear about you again. All right. This is one thing. You know, there's a way to enter Jonathan. If there's one thing I've come to discover about Jonathan, right? Jonathan is somebody that is desperate, right? So if you come to Jonathan and tell him, I'm going to do this, it's going to help you to go back to being the big Joe. You're going to drive in your expensive cars and do big things. Jonathan will be interested because he's desperate. So they are looking at Jonathan's weak point to practically attack him. And Jonathan is always submitting to them because that is what he wants. That is why once you know somebody's weak point, it is easy for you to manipulate the person. And Jonathan was so excited, you know. And they said, okay, how is it going to be? And Chetan started telling Jonathan lies. I'm going to take this document to the person, and then from there we're going to go to the company where we can get that loan from. And once it's signed, boom, the money is going to come, and you go about doing that business that will bring you millions. So you can become the big Joe again. Of course, Jonathan was very excited. But when he stepped out of the room, Cheta was surprised at Jonathan's foolishness. I mean, your daughter is even smarter than you. How can you be this foolish, allowing people to manipulate you? I'm so surprised at Jonathan's action. He is too old for this kind of behavior. While Benny was in the room crying, Jonathan came. Baby, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Jonathan was apologizing to the daughter. But then, your daughter is still tied up. You are apologizing. Instead of you to go into the room and help your daughter out, you are still apologizing. What for? According to Jonathan, I'm going to let you out once Cheta steps out of this house with that document. I don't want you to create a scene. Why are you doing this? If only you know what is about to befall you, Jonathan, that you're about to become homeless, you won't allow this whole thing to push through. You won't even be the one in front of this plan. But Jonathan is so stupid to, understand what is going on. When Cheta got dressed, she took that document, and Jonathan was waiting for Cheta downstairs. And Cheta came and said, baby, it's about time we are going to make more money. We are going to enjoy our lives together. But first of all, I need to take this document. And after Cheta left, Jonathan went into the room to untie the daughter. And was begging the daughter, I am sorry, I have good plans for you. Once I get back to myself, I'm going to take care of you and buy you anything that you want. At the same time, I know that Jonathan have a good plan for the daughter, but he's executing these plans the wrong way. You are hurting your own daughter, all in the name of getting money for you to start up a business that is going to fail, because this whole thing is planned to destroy you. Benny pushed the father and ran out of the house. The father went on to chase Benny. Instead of Jonathan to go look for the daughter, he decided to go back into the house, hoping that the daughter will come back to the house. How do you expect Benny to come back to this house? She's terrified. She feels like, oh, if I step into this house, they might lock me up and never let me out again. That little girl is terrified. And this whole thing is caused by the father. Emeka and Debbie decide to sit out to discuss about, the way forward, in a way of getting their plans together. And Debbie was telling Emeka, you know what, Cheta is doing a very good job, right? She has the document and she's bringing it down here. When Emeka was very surprised, why is she able to achieve that so fast? But no, that Cheta is only able to penetrate Jonathan because one, Jonathan does not have money, and Jonathan is desperate of becoming rich again. That is why Cheta is able to penetrate Jonathan. And of course, Emeka was just there, hoping that this whole thing will happen. And the both of them started saying to each other, "You are the reason why I am, going to lose heaven. In fact, if I go to hellfire, it will be because of you." And the other person was like, "You are the Jezebel of our generation and all that. We're not friends." In fact, this whole thing is just so funny that two evil people came together, to connive against somebody that has not even done anything bad to them. It's crazy. Chetak eventually came with the document and they were all surprised. According to her, her marriage is beautiful. Go get married. Marriage is fun and all that. Chetak is only concerned about the money that she's eventually going to get from this whole plan, right? And that is why she's not concerned about whether Jonathan is hot or whether the Benny is hot or anything. She just wants to make sure she gets this money, and then boom, she will, leave Jonathan with immediate effect, which is exactly what Emeka and Debbie want. So they collected the house document, and told her to go back and continue her good work while Emeka looks for a buyer that will buy this house, and then the money will be shared evenly among the three of them. It's so crazy. Jonathan was at home waiting for Cheta to get back, and when Cheta came back, she came and she was lying to Jonathan. Oh, the whole thing was successful. The business transaction is going to be very smooth, right? We are just waiting for them to approve it. And once they approve it, you're going to get that money. And she presented fake documents. Instead of Jonathan to go through the document to scrutinize everything that she has presented, once Jonathan saw that, oh, the money will be approved, he became very excited without even thinking twice. Again, why is Jonathan so stupid? Why can't you be smart? Why can you allow people to manipulate you this much? It's crazy. It's crazy. And he was very excited that this whole thing is happening. He's very excited. Why the daughter was walking on the street at the middle of the night alone. This is the same girl that has been, faced with a lot of bad boys trying to harass her. And now she's on the street alone with nobody to defend her. Thank God. Thank God Kenneth was driving through that route that met Benny. If not, we don't know what would have happened to Benny. I wish Benny at least even know the address to Hank's house. I feel she would have just run to Hank's mother and stayed there. At least there she can, live peacefully. And Kenneth was like, "Benny, what are you doing out here alone, walking in the, what is happening?" And Benny was explaining to Kenneth how the father tied him up for them to take that house document, that the house that the mother left for her has been taken away from her. Kenneth was very angry. Is Jonathan really that stupid? How can Jonathan do this to his own daughter? Even me, I am surprised at Jonathan's action. And then he was able to convince Benny to get into the car so that he can take him home. He needs to take Benny home, right? Benny cannot be on the street. But then, I see Jonathan still loves the daughter. All that is happening right now is not Jonathan's plan to hurt the daughter. Jonathan is only looking for a way to take care of the daughter and become the man that he's supposed to be. And then Cheta came back and was telling Jonathan, "You need to stop troubling yourself. By now, your daughter will be in the hands of one man out there. You know your daughter is wild." And I'm so surprised how Jonathan stood there and was listening to Cheta saying bad things about the daughter. How can you do this? It is not nice. This is the same thing that you have been fighting other people, about. But now that Cheta is saying it in front of you, you are not even reacting. According to him, my daughter Benny cannot do that. She might be a handful, but she's not that kind of girl. But Cheta will not accept what Jonathan is saying, right? Jonathan, you need to come to bed. Your daughter will come back home whenever she feels like coming back. But right now, I know that your daughter is in the hands of another man. Which eventually, while he was about to move, Kenneth decided to come talk sense into Jonathan. Because Jonathan is foolish and stupid. What is wrong with you? How can you allow your daughter to be out there and you are inside this house, comfortable? Why didn't you go out there to look for your daughter? And when Jonathan was trying to, respond, he looked at the wife Teta and noticed that the woman was looking at him, and Jonathan became hard on Kenneth. Look here, young man, this is my family. Whatever happens here is none of your business. He was just trying to become a man. What are you proving, Jonathan? You are going to lose everything and you will regret your life. You're going to lose everything. Emeka is said to take, including the one piece of land that you have. Emeka is going to sell it, and you will be left with nothing, completely empty. And why Kenneth was telling Jonathan, you are doing the wrong thing, you can't do that. How can you do that? Are you even thinking at all? Is anything wrong with your head? How can you use the house that your ex-wife secured for your own daughter's future to get a loan? A loan for what? Are you in your right senses? And of course, since Cheta is in the picture, to keep on pushing Jonathan to doing the wrong thing, she had to intervene. And of course, Kenneth does not deal with this kind of people. He put it straight to her. I can't be talking with a riffraff like you, right? You are not in my class. Because if you are sensible enough, you will know that this move is wrong. You can look elsewhere to get something, not your daughter's house. I mean, what happens if the both of you are chased out of this house? Then you go on the street and start looking for where to live. Kenneth left and was about to drive, at least take the daughter to his house so that she can have a good sleep. Since the daughter is refusing to go back to the house because she's terrified, Jonathan ran out and was asking. And Jonathan, when he saw the daughter in Kenneth's car, he started accusing Kenneth. This is why I knew that Jonathan will never learn. Jonathan will never ever learn or read the handwritings on the wall. Jonathan then was begging the daughter to please come out of the car. And she said, I'm not going in there. I am not going in there. He was begging. I know that Jonathan will never want to, hurt the daughter. But then the situation on ground, according to him, is the reason why he has decided to take this route, since the daughter will not comply. But then, will the daughter ever agree to follow Jonathan into this house again to receive another torture from the father? We will get to find out about it on the next episode. Please like the video if you have not liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will bring the next episode as soon as it drops. But for now, take care.